He never knew exactly when his life began to fall apart. Looking back, it probably started on the day he answered a phone call he almost ignored. The number on the screen meant nothing to him. No name, no warning. He assumed it was another spam call, one of the many interruptions people learn to live with. But the moment the voice on the other end calmly introduced itself as part of a financial investigation unit, something in his body tightened. The voice was polite, professional, and controlled, which somehow made it worse. They asked him about an account he had never heard of in his life. He told them there had to be a mistake. He was sure of it. His life was simple and predictable. He worked, paid rent, worried about bills, saved what little he could. He had never opened an account at the bank they mentioned. He had never authorized anything unusual. But the voice insisted. According to their records, the account existed, and it had existed for years. More importantly, it was now connected to a financial irregularity involving millions of dollars. When the call ended, he sat in silence for a long time. It felt like someone had accidentally attached another person's story to his name. He tried to shake it off. Systems made mistakes. Databases mixed things up. It would be fixed with a few calls. That's what he told himself. 2 days later, the first letter arrived. The envelope was official and cold. No emotion, no explanation. It stated that an inactive, corporate-linked account registered under his identity had been flagged during a routine audit. The language was careful, almost neutral, but every sentence carried weight. He read it slowly, then again. He was certain he had never opened such an account. Yet the reference number, the dates, the formatting, all of it looked real. Too real to dismiss. Years earlier, when he was 25, he had landed his first serious job at a financial technology company. It wasn't a powerful role. He wasn't an executive or a decision-maker. He worked quietly, handling data, reviewing reports, following instructions. On his first day, he had been given a thick stack of documents to sign. Onboarding forms, compliance agreements, access permissions. Everything was written in dense legal language that seemed intentionally difficult to understand. He remembered feeling rushed, worried about appearing slow or unprepared. The HR representative had smiled and said it was all standard. Everyone signs these. So he did. The company grew quickly. New leadership came in. New projects launched. Systems changed. He stayed in the background, unnoticed and replaceable. After a few years, the company began to struggle. One morning, an email arrived announcing that operations were suspended. That was it. No farewell, no explanation. He lost his job, found another, and moved on. He never thought about that company again, but the system never forgot. The account mentioned in the letter had been created as part of an internal corporate process. Bulk onboarding, automated setup, hundreds of accounts created at once. Most were never used. Most remained inactive. But when the company collapsed and investigators began reviewing old records, the account resurfaced, and on paper, it belonged to him. He went to the bank in person, convinced this could be cleared up quickly. The employee behind the counter typed his name into the system, nodded, and confirmed it calmly. Yes, the account was linked to his identity. He felt his stomach drop. He asked how that was possible. He had never been there, never signed anything at that bank. The employee explained that the account had been created through a corporate partnership process years earlier. Everything had been done digitally. Everything had been approved in bulk. The problem wasn't just that the account existed. The problem was that, according to system logs, a large amount of money had once passed through it. The funds were no longer traceable. The transactions were old, complex, and buried under layers of restructuring. But the system showed movement. And where there was movement, there was responsibility. No one arrested him. There were no dramatic scenes, no courtroom confrontations. Instead, his personal bank accounts were quietly placed under review. Transactions slowed. Credit applications were denied. His credit score dropped without explanation. He felt punished without ever being accused of a crime. When he tried to explain the situation to friends, the words sounded absurd even to his own ears. An account I never knew about. Money I never touched. A problem that didn't exist until it did. He hired a lawyer. The lawyer listened carefully, then explained the part that hurt the most. This wasn't about proving innocence. This was about responsibility. Somewhere in the onboarding paperwork he had signed years ago was a clause that allowed the company to associate operational accounts with employee identities for compliance purposes. It wasn't meant for him, it wasn't explained, but it was legal. And once the company collapsed, the system needed a name to attach responsibility to. His was the easiest one left. Time passed in an uncomfortable limbo. Investigations moved slowly. Letters arrived and stopped, then arrived again. Each one felt like a reminder that the system was still watching. He lived cautiously, avoided risks, avoided plans. Everything felt temporary. Eventually, an official notice arrived stating that there was insufficient evidence to pursue criminal charges against him. He felt relief, briefly. Then he read the next line. The financial responsibility review remained open. He wasn't guilty, but he wasn't free. The company was gone. Executives were protected, structures dissolved, but the account still existed in archived records, and so did his name. Years later, the situation faded quietly, not through justice, but through exhaustion. Settlements reduced the pressure. The debt was reclassified. The attention moved elsewhere. His life never returned to what it was before. He became careful in ways he never had been. He read every document slowly now, every line, every footnote, because he learned something most people never realize until it's too late. You don't need to steal to be blamed. You don't need power to be trapped. Sometimes all it takes is a system that remembers something you never knew existed.